allowed the pain to reinvent me. Literally just sleep and not be alive. I have been cheated on. I have been in toxic relationships. It wasn't anybody's fault but mine. Pull up that hub video, run to my room and lock the door. I remember freaking out. What is going on, guys? Back again today. For those of you that are new here, my name is Ivan Compres. I'm 20 years old and I run an online fitness coaching business where I help men absolutely transform their lives and become their best versions. Today, the topic of the video is just gonna be about life. Like, I'm just gonna get real about what I've been through, what I've been going through, where I'm trying to be, the struggle of wanting all these goals and having these huge dreams in my mind, but still feeling like I'm not progressing. For so long, you know, I think back to the kid that I used to be. I used to be addicted to porn. I used to drink. I used to smoke, like vape. And I would just be so addicted to these vices. And I couldn't break free from them. And I think back to the days when I literally just felt stuck. I felt like I was going nowhere. I literally felt like a loser. I used to look at myself in the mirror when I wake up in the morning, and I couldn't bear to look at the side of me. I couldn't bear to look at who I was. I literally remember that alarm would go off in the morning, and I'd be like, man, I wish I could sleep. I wish I could just dream my whole life and not have to wake up. Like, that's how much I couldn't stand who I saw in the mirror. You know, I used to literally wake up and the first thing I would do is check my text messages, see if the girl I was with texted me. And if she didn't text, I would just feel terrible because I placed all of my self-worth outside of myself. I remember I literally used to be so lonely at night. I'd be facing problems in my relationship. I'd feel like trash and I just want some sort of comfort. So guess what I would pull up? I'd pull up the hub, I'd scroll, I'd find that best video. And once I did, I'd watch it. I'd get my pleasure, get my nut off. And then I'd feel even worse. I'd feel even worse and I'd find myself asking, is this really all there is to life? Is this really all that's meant for Ivan Compres? Is this really what God put me on this earth for, to suffer? And to be this kid that can't even look in the mirror and love himself? I literally remember I would have nights like that and I'd be like, tomorrow I vow to not make this mistake again. Tomorrow, it's not gonna happen again. This is my last time watching the hub. This is my last time vaping. This is my last time drinking. This is my last time being insecure. And the next day would come and it's like that thought would fade. I would forget. I would forget all the pain I went through. I would forget all the suffering I went through. And I would go and do the same thing that was leading to my demise. I would go find another video, scroll for 20, 30 minutes till I found the one I liked, pick it, get my pleasure and get my nut off. And then feel like crap again. And it was an endless cycle, guys. I'm literally telling you, it was an endless cycle. I would go through this cycle for months, weeks, years, because I struggled with the hub all throughout high school. And then once vaping and drinking got added to the mix, I had all three, and my dopamine receptors were absolutely fried. They were fried, and they were in the worst they'd ever been. I felt as bad as I ever had. I felt as low in confidence as I ever had because I was doing all these things that were destroying me and keeping me away from my purpose. And I literally remember I used to get so frustrated with myself because I would literally relapse and say it wasn't going to happen again, and then I would do it again later that day. And that would piss me off. It would piss me off. I literally remember going 2, 3, 4 times in one day, relapsing, knowing that I was meant for more, knowing that I was called to live and do more in this life. And yet I still kept making that same mistake over and over again. And it was so frustrating. It got to the point where I literally was like, I am done. I don't care if I die. I am not going to continue going down this path. And so what I did was I took a leap of faith and I started going to the gym. I had no clue what the hell I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing. I got in that weight room and literally I was skin and bones. I didn't have the physique I have now. I was as skinny as ever and as low as confidence as ever. I was literally a gamer kid. I used to play video games when I wasn't in school or when I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. I was playing video games or I was watching the hub. I was not anything more than that. Anything more than that. And so I started hitting the weight room and I remember I was probably curling like the 15s and I felt so proud of myself. But it was that step And I was so uncomfortable in that weight room. I literally was looking around. Like, I used to be having to lower the brightness on my phone to look at the tutorial video because I was so embarrassed that the people around me would see that I'm watching a gym tutorial workout video in the gym. I literally used to go through all these things. I would be so embarrassed. I'd be like, yo, let me just like go to the corner and lower the brightness. Is this how you do dumbbell curls? Okay, okay. And then I would literally be so embarrassed and self-conscious. I'd be looking around and be like, yo, everybody probably thinks I'm like a loser. I'm a skinny kid that's like, doesn't belong here. When in reality, everybody was just focused on their own thing, but that's where my mind was. I was so self-conscious. I was so low in confidence because behind the mirror, behind closed doors, I was doing things I wasn't proud of. It had nothing to do with my physique. It had nothing to do with being skinny. Yeah, we can be skinny, we can be out of shape, but at the end of the day, what's really holding us back from loving ourselves is that we aren't proud of the things that we do. So I didn't love myself. I used to go to the gym hoping to get this little pump. I was skin and bones. My shirt wouldn't even fit. Like literally, my shirt was probably like this big and my little twig arm was like in the middle. It wasn't tight. The shirts weren't tight. And I remember I used to dream of having tight shirts. I remember I used to look around at all the other guys in the gym and be like, man, bro, like, I just want my shirt to fit tight. Like, I literally remember that. And these dudes weren't even in crazy shape. I just wanted to be something I wasn't. And so I started going to the gym. I wasn't really eating clean when I started going to the gym. I was kind of eating a bunch of crazy stuff and wasn't really in shape. You know, I was kind of going to fast food all the time. Wasn't really the man I wanted to be. And still, I started going to the gym, and even when I did, I still struggled with my vices. I still struggled with porn particularly. But I was doing one thing right. And then eventually I plateaued because I realized, yo, I can't leave the life I wanted to leave behind without leaving all the habits in the past. So yeah, I started going to the gym. I started getting a little bit of a pump. I started looking a little bit better, but I was nowhere near I am now. It was because I was taking one step forward and going to the gym and 2 steps back. I remember I'd feel great. I'd go to school and I'd feel great because I was going to the gym. I felt a little bit more confident, just a little bit, because I was going to the gym and now I could say I was lifting and I was getting a pump in. Like, I felt kind of cool. And I'd feel good. I'd have these great days at school. I would literally be happy. I'd go to the gym, I'd get my lift in, I'd be like, yo, like, I'm actually doing good for myself. And then I'd self-sabotage. You wanna know why? Because I'd get home and the first thing I'd do is I'd pull up that hub video, run to my room and lock the door and then just watch it and release. And I'd release all my energy, all my leftover energy. Had I known what I know now, I would have put all that energy into going to the weight room and training twice a day, going harder, being more intense, creating things. But no, I'd get home, the first thing I'd do is go on the hub, watch that video, feel great, and then I'd turn on my PlayStation and start playing the game. So I was frying my dopamine receptors. None of my actual dopamine was coming from things that I actually loved. It was coming from superficial things. It was coming from the hub. It was coming from video games. But it wasn't coming from actually living in my purpose. It wasn't. I was a purposeless man, purposeless kid. A kid walking around every single day, not knowing what I wanted to do in my life. Constantly placing my self-worth on things outside of myself. And so, as I started going to the gym, I started to fall in love with basketball. I started to fall in love with, playing the sport of basketball. I always played, but there came a point in time when I really got serious about it. I used to see all these guys in the NBA playing, and I used to be like, bro, I want to be like top 1%. I'm 5'5". I want to be one of the 5'5" guys that go to the NBA. I want to inspire millions. And I want to show people that you could do whatever you put your mind to. These thoughts used to go through my head when I was younger. And I remember one day I was like, yo, there's a kid out there who's going to be wishing that they could look at me and be inspired and feel like their dreams are possible. So I started playing basketball. Not just for those kids, but for the younger me. And I got really good at it, really good at it. And I remember I got cut from the varsity team. I didn't get cut, but I didn't get the minutes I wanted. I wasn't a starter. I remember going into the senior year, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna make varsity. Play 0 minutes all year. Ended up being the team manager for the team because whatever, the team was stacked. We won the state championship, but I felt terrible because I felt like I put in so many hours into something. I put in hours. I used to wake up at 4 a.m., get shots up before school, go to school, do my classes, leave school, go to the gym, shoot more, lift. It was as locked in as I'd ever been. And during this time, I was so focused that porn ended up kind of slipping away. It kind of left my life because I didn't have time for it. I found my purpose, at least what I thought it was at the time. And I was so focused and grinding on basketball that slipped my mind. So I felt like I was making a lot of progress. I was actually getting really good at the game. And that senior year, I remember just not playing, and I remember feeling so discouraged, and like all the work I put in was for nothing. I literally remember every game I'd show up and be like, man, that should be me out there. I'm happy for these guys doing well. I love them all, but I wish that was me. And so that senior season ended. We won the chip, and it was great. And I remember I was like, yo, I don't want to let this dream go. Like, all the greats faced adversities. Like, I'm just facing mine. And I remember I was like, yo, I'm not going to give up here. So I went into spring travel basketball season, AAU season. And I played well. I played really well. And I started reaching out to prep schools. So I started reaching out to prep schools to see if I could do a postgraduate high school year, play basketball, and potentially get an offer to play at the collegiate level. So I grinded my ass off that spring. 3 workouts a day, AAU tournaments on the weekends. After AAU tournaments, I would literally go to the gym and shoot more because I literally wanted to be the best. The best. I was a great 3-point shooter. Phenomenal. And it was because I was constantly in the gym shooting. I'm not tall, but my shot was phenomenal, especially my mid-range. I worked hours on my mid-range shot. And literally, I remember just grinding and reaching out to tons of schools, sending out like 50, 60, 70 emails to all these coaches. And finally, one coach took notice and he was interested. And so I visited the school. It was up in Maine, about 2 states away from where I am in Massachusetts. And it was about an hour away. And I remember going up and visiting it, and I fell in love with the school. And I was like, man, like I can really see myself walking these halls. And I remember when I visited the school, I remember imagining myself, like this was before anything. I imagined myself like being in my basketball jersey, walking down the hallway and like being confident, all the kids like rocking with me, dapping me up, like everybody just respecting me. I imagined it all in my head, just visiting my first time there. And that's when I knew this is where I need to be. And so I remember leaving the school, I submitted my application. They were like, yo, submit your application. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. But I left a great impression there. All the teachers, the faculty I spoke to, they loved me. But anyways, I was like, there's no guarantee this prep school is like 50 grand for a year. Like, there's no guarantee I'm getting it. So whatever, I went home, but every night after, I used to close my eyes before bed and I'd envision myself at that school. I envisioned myself driving to school. I envisioned myself getting there and dapping up all my teammates. I envisioned myself being happy, being confident, and being the best version of me I was. I envisioned myself shooting threes and scoring tons of buckets for that team every night. And I remember 10 days later, I get an email. I see on my Gmail, it says, Berwick Academy, email, acceptance decision. And I remember I was so scared to open it. And I remember I waited for my mom to get home and I was like, they answered, like, let's check the email. And I remember opening it because I was like nervous and I was like, let's just open it, let's do it, whatever, it's not gonna hurt. Worst case scenario is like my life stays the same. And I opened it and it said, yo, you're accepted. And I was like, yo, I remember freaking out because this was my decision. My parents wanted me to like go to college and they were supporting me to go to college. But I was like, yo, like I really want to pursue basketball. And they were kind of on the fence about it. And then I got accepted and I was like, yo, I was freaking out. I was so excited. I was so happy. And I literally remember like seeing that email and I was like, man, this is actually happening. All those nights that I was imagining myself walking those hallways, it's about to come true. But then came the moment of truth where I was like, yo, I got accepted, but like, how much am I gonna have to pay, bro? Like 50 G's a year, like my parents aren't gonna be able to help me with that. So I remember scrolling down to the bottom of the email, seeing if there's anything about scholarship. And I literally damn near got a full scholarship to go to the school. And I remember at that moment, I was like, yo, like visualization is real. Your life can change overnight if you actually believe in yourself. I went from being skinny, insecure, overflowing with vices, with watching the hub all the time, being a loser and grinding video games, to being actually good at basketball and changing my entire life, getting almost a full ride to a prep school and living the life I always dreamed of. All because I believed in myself. All because I saw it in here before it materialized out here. All because of that. All because I truly had faith in myself. And so I remember scrolling down, full scholarship, almost a full scholarship. Paid not as much as the full price. And I remember literally just being like so happy. I was riding that high for weeks. And I remember they gave me a shirt that said Berwick Academy, and I was wearing that everywhere. Everywhere. I was wearing it everywhere. I was wearing it to the gym. I was wearing it under my uniform when I would go to the school I was at the time. I literally would wear it everywhere because I was like, yo, like my dreams are here. And so that was my first glimpse of realizing that my vices didn't define me. What was defining me was the limiting beliefs in here. And as soon as I let them go, all the vices went away. All of them. Because I understood that I was the creator of my reality. What I do right now determines what tomorrow is. What I believe in here determines what I see and what happens. And as soon as I understood that, bro, when I look at myself in the mirror and think of, yo, I'm skinny, yo, I'm insecure, yo, I watch porn, yo, I do this, I'm a loser. But when I look in the mirror, I see 5:30 a.m. wake-ups, I see cold showers, I see countless hours of putting in pain at the basketball court. My life changed, my identity changed. And what helped me leave all these destructive things in the past was changing and rewiring my entire identity. Because when you do that, you unlock endless things. Because it all starts with identity. If you believe that you're an addict, if you believe that you watch porn, if you believe that you're a loser, if you believe that you're a dweeb, that's all going to be true. But if you also believe, yo, I'm jacked, I'm in shape, I'm confident, and you actually do the things to embody that life, I promise you, if you do that for 90 days, your entire reality will change. It'll change. I went from playing 0 minutes on the varsity team, zero, to a month and a half later, getting an almost full scholarship to a prep school to play basketball, where I ended up starting and averaging like 15 points a game. Because I believed in myself. Because I took a leap of faith. Guys, this works with anything. It works with anything. If you're not happy with the job you're working, bro, you're meant for more. You know you're meant for more. You can have that, but it all starts with self-belief. How are you going to become the man that is capable and worthy of that job that you want? If you want that dream girl, if you want a wife, how are you going to become that man that is deserving of that wife? Because, bro, I'm telling you, if you're in a toxic relationship or your last girl cheated or she was bad to you, bro, you're meant for more. The reason why that happened to you is because you aren't living up to those standards. That's it. Because I'm telling you now, I have been through those things. I have been cheated on. I have been in toxic relationships. But it was because of who I was. My identity wasn't aligned with attracting a divine woman. But now, where I am now, I look at a girl, I talk to a girl, and I can immediately tell if that's somebody that I can see myself with. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. Back in the day, it was just, oh, this girl likes me, well, I like her back. Now I understand it's way deeper than that. I'm telling you guys, that job you work that you don't like, those coworkers that shit talk you, that girl that cheated on you and wants to lie to you, brother, the only reason why those things are in your reality is because of the fact that you aren't who you need to be. You aren't. Because if you were the guy, if you were that guy, if you were him, that would not happen to you. Because you would see through all the bullshit. You would see it all starts with you. It's no one else's fault but yours. Had you seen that girl's true colors, she would have never cheated. You would have never been in a relationship with her. Had you known you were meant for more, you wouldn't be slaving away at the job you're at. You would have grinded, and mastered the skill that you dream of so that you could be doing it. It's all your fault. And as soon as you take accountability for that, your life will change. I was blaming the world for all my problems. I was blaming the Pornhub. I was blaming the girls. But guess what? It wasn't anybody's fault but mine. Because had I seen through the bullshit from the start, none of it would have affected me. It all starts with a choice. God gives each and every single one of us free will. And if we decide to act on it positively or negatively, it's up to us. It's up to us if we want to destroy our lives or if we want to create. It's all in our hands. It's all in our hands. And to this day, I still think back to all these days in which I suffered, in which I wanted to sleep more than be awake, in which I couldn't stand who I saw in the mirror. I think back to them all, and they fuel me. They fuel me. A lot of people ask me, Ivan, how are you constantly doing what you need to do? How are you so disciplined in this? Because I allowed the pain to reinvent me. It reinvented me because I understood the power behind it. We all have pain, but it's about how you use it. Are you going to use it to fuel you and propel you to all your dreams, or are you going to allow it to destroy you? What do you want it to be? One of my boys, he got broken up with not too long ago, and he was telling me how he was struggling with things. He knew the girl wasn't for him. Their beliefs weren't aligned. He just didn't want to be with her anymore. And relationship ended up ending, and he was coming to me for advice, and I was telling him, brother, this happened for a reason. This happened because God is calling you for more. This didn't happen because of unfortunate events. No, this happened because God's calling you for more. And I said, bro, you have one or two choices. There's only two choices when you get broken up with. Choice number one is you go out to party with the boys, you go hook up with like 5-10 girls, and I guess that's how you say you get over her. You start using drugs and drinking all the time. That's choice number one. And I'm going to say probably 96% of men take this choice. And this choice number two is you use all that pain to fuel your purpose, to fuel it. And every single time I've dealt with a breakup or heartbreak, I threw this decision to the side and took action on this one because I understood that my purpose was what mattered. The first breakup I went through, I went from being a mediocre basketball player to being an amazing basketball player. The second breakup I went through, I went from having a mid physique and being broke to running a fitness coaching business and being as confident as ever. And I use every single ounce of pain to my advantage. When I don't want to push forward, I think about every single moment that I wanted to literally just sleep and not be alive. I think to it. So for those of you guys that feel stuck, that feel lost, that feel like you're meant for more, bro, it's all behind using every single ounce of pain to your advantage. You can win just like me. You're watching this video for a reason. This didn't come on your feed for a reason. God planted it for you. For you, bro. For you, and I want to see you win. Don't scroll off this video and continue being mediocre. Continue being average. You're young. You have a life ahead of you. Use it. Use it, bro. Use it. I want to see you win. It's all from love. It's all from a place of love. I talk to you from love, from the heart, because I don't want to see you suffer and waste your life away. The world needs you, bro. But for those of you that watched all the way through, you're real. This was a real one. I got deep on this one. And for those of you guys that want more guidance, want to move in the right direction, and truly want to take your life to the next level, but just feel like you need further support, apply for Built by Faith coaching down below. If you're a fit, we'll chop it up on a call and take it from there. But with that being said, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Peace.